Actually, I can move around, I'm mobile. Good morning everybody and welcome to the conference. It's just wonderful to see everybody here. I think we're looking at something upwards of 300 people and it just makes me very proud to be the managing director of a company with such wonderful people in it and such wonderful channel partners, so thank you very much for being here. Thank you to the marketing department for putting the conference on, and also thank you for preparing this presentation for me. And initially I'd just like to take you through just one slide looking at the global results for Konica Minolta, because I think that's always quite interesting to see what's happening around the entire world of Konica Minolta. So if you just look at that top revenue line there, we've got the fiscal year 15 results. These end on March 31 each year. It's the Japanese financial year. Then the 16 results, which are provisional at this stage, but they're pretty close to final. And then we have what's projected in our plan for 17, which is the year that we've just commenced. So you'll see there that, if I've done my sums correctly, there's about a 9% increase in top line revenue, and these are US billions of dollars. About 9% growth in the last year between 15 and 16. Now when I go to Tokyo, I get to view the results of all of the companies in the industry. And forward projections and all sorts of things. There's a lot of information out there that we all sort of can access regarding each other's businesses. And let me tell you, a 9% growth globally in this industry, in these markets in which you operate over the last year is just outstanding. So our parent has done a very, very good job, and of course we've contributed to that. Now you will notice though that when we go into 17, that same trend line isn't as positive. It drops back to about 1% growth. Now, it's interesting that that's based, and I've seen that 5 years out. So the projections that come from industry analysts such as IDC and Gartner and people like this is that there will actually be not just a slowing down of the core print products, but there'll actually be just a very, very slow decline over that 5-year period. It's nothing to get too concerned about, but it's something to be aware of, or for our senior planning people to be aware of, and that's why they're budgeting according to that. Now I'm going to go through some strategies, and there'll be more detail later on from other presenters about the strategies as to how we're going to supplement the core products that we have today with other exciting and innovative products that will ensure that the company overall continues to grow and grows in quite a healthy manner. So, and we'll be talking a little bit about our growth expectations later in the presentation as well. You'll also see that operating profit, the OP line there, is flat between 15 and 16. So we grew revenue by 9%, but we didn't grow our profit. How does that happen? It's very simple. The cost of doing business goes up every year. The business people in the audience will be well aware of that. And also the margin earned on the sale of the products tends to go down every year. We're selling technology at a cheaper price, but it's costing us more to sell it and to deliver it to the customer and so on. By deliver, I mean in the full sense of the word. And so that's kind of the dilemma that faces a lot of mature industries, and we're in that category. And then there's a slight reduction in profit in the planning for fiscal year 17. And it's why some of our newer technologies are all the more important, and we'll have a look at those. So firstly, from a global perspective, creation of new value is the philosophy of the company. The thing I like about that is it's not about us. That statement is about our customers. It's about our clients. It's not creating new value for us, it's creating new value for our clients. So we want to be a company that can go and have a discussion with an organisation about their business aspirations and goals, their business challenges, sit and think and plan with them as to whether there is something that we might be able to do to help facilitate their plans. And I think that's absolutely the right focus for us to have as an organisation. Take the focus off us and put it on the client, who can be the beneficiary of our technology developments. So essentially we see ourselves as a problem-solving digital company. And I like that statement coming from our parent because it fits in very well with my own view. And I was asked in Tokyo recently, why is it in Australia that despite the industry trend towards some small decline, and in Australia there were about 5% fewer multifunction device units placed into this market last year than there were the year before. So despite that decline, why is it that Konica Minolta in Australia just keeps growing? They were interested in this, obviously. And I said, well, I hope I can translate my view of this to you without offending anybody, but it's not to do with your products. I said, let me explain. You've always made great products. I've only been in the company 12 years. We have people that have been with us 36 or 37 probably by now. So I'm a relative newbie. But I said, ever since I've been here, the products have been great. They've been first-class products for us to take to market. So I said, that didn't change. So it's not that. Our service has always been great. We pride ourselves on good technical service to our customers. So that kind of didn't change year on year. It's just always been there. So what's different? And I said, one of the things that is different is that most of our competitors will go into a prospective client or an existing client they're seeking to upgrade, and that they will talk to them about what they have to sell them. I said our approach when we go to market in Australia is not talking about what we want to sell them. We talk to them about who we are. To use the Japanese expression, we open the kimono and we just say, let's talk about the sort of organisation that Konica Minolta is. What are the people like that work here? If you choose us as your technology partner, who will you be dealing with on a day-to-day basis? What is our attitude towards you? Can you trust us, really, is what it comes down to. And I think at the end of the day, one of the core criteria for a purchasing decision by an organisation or a consumer really comes down to that word trust. Do I trust this organisation? Do they feel like a good fit for our company to work with on an ongoing basis? And let's face it, most companies don't want to make a one-off purchasing decision. They're really choosing a partner for the long term. And when they do change, it's because they've been kind of forced to change, because they found that partner to be lacking to some degree. And I have to say, you, as our sales vehicle into the market, have been very successful at being there when an organisation felt the need to change and being able to demonstrate that we're a good partner for them to adopt. We've had a lot of new business occurring in the organisation in the last year or so. And one Konica Minolta, it's a very strong message from our parent. There was a restructure on April 1 in Tokyo. There are 19 business units. Let me try and get this right. I think I've got some notes here that might prompt me somewhere. I'm going to wing it. So I think there's 8 that are core. It's kind of what we do today. From memory, there were 6 that are classified as growth. Then if I've got the numbers right, there are 5 that are completely new and different areas of our business that we're embarking on globally. They're all vitally important. There is no way in the world that we're going to take our attention off what we do today and what we do very well today. For years and years and years to come, it will be the cornerstone of our business. But we are prepared to embrace change. We're prepared to meet the needs of the market and meet the needs of our clients. So we're investing very heavily in new technologies. Now, just looking at closer to home, Konica Minolta. We sold $237.6 million, or brought in $237.6 million in revenue last year, and that was a record year for sales. So thank you very, very much to everybody in this room who created that figure. We also had a record year for profit. We had a record year for the number of units placed into the Australian market, and we had a record year for market share. We were number 2 in the market share position, I think, for something like about 9 of the 12 months. Our market share as a percentage of the pie grew to its highest level. And basically we had a great year relative to the rest of the market. And I feel very proud of that, because when we look at the number of people that are achieving those results, we're quite a bit smaller than our major competitors. We have fewer people producing higher results. So we're punching above our weight, and we always have. And it really assists us in being able to drive some profit in the business, to ask everybody to do a little bit more of the heavy lifting than perhaps our competitors are asking of their people, because there's simply more of them. We're doing more with less, and that comes about because of your preparedness to work really hard and diligently to get us those results. So thank you very, very much indeed. Just looking at the year ahead, managed content services, which is an area we moved into through acquisition 2 years ago, will remain a very, very important growth part of our company. It allows us to have a far broader conversation with our clients and become far more important to our clients and a more integral part of their business. So managing content for our clients is key to where we're going in the future. The Internet of Things, you've all heard that expression, I think, and it's just another way of talking about a connected world. It's about devices being connected to each other that today are not connected to each other. It's about everything being linked. And there's a new product coming out, and we'll talk later on in quite detail about it, called Workplace Hub. It began its journey a couple of years ago under the name of Service Hub, and it's a product that's been developed by a man called Dennis Curry in the UK, and his development team. He's an ex-HP guy. He's a very bright person. He's a real visionary. He's a very nice man as well, except when he and I are talking about Ashes series in England and things like that. And he went to Shoei Yamana, the president of our company, and he said, "Shoei, I've got a vision for some new technology." And he said, "There's a but though. I need your support on one thing. Yeah, I need money and I need people and we need to hire a lot of engineers and all that, but that's just a given. I need your support on something else." And he said, "I don't want it to be developed in the traditional R&D centre in a place called Hachiochi in Japan." He said, "I want to set up my own R&D centre for this project, and I want it to be in Germany." It was unprecedented. Like, why would you duplicate costs when you've already got an R&D centre? And Shoei backed him, and Shoei said, "Yep, go and set it up in Germany." And he got it. He said, "The deadline for me to develop this completely new product is going to be CeBIT, the Global IT Fair in Hanover, in March." This is some years ago, he said that. And he launched the product at CeBIT in Hanover in March of this year. And it'll actually go to market, I think, Europe and North America in October, and then we'll get it early next year. But it's essentially an SME product. It's not so much something that sits on a corporate network, although I've got to say there's a little bit of debate about that. Shoei himself is saying why not. But it's a product that contains a server, and so it has a better application in an environment where there isn't a central corporate server. It's about the extent of my knowledge, so don't ask me anything else. Now, other areas that we're moving into. Specialised print is very core to our business, very, very important, and we have a preeminent position there. We sit at number 2 in that market, and we do very well. But we're not content with that. We're taking it to a new level, and our parent, both through R&D dollars, partnerships, and acquisitions, has built a formidable range of industrial print products. And if you haven't done so yet, and it may not have even been available to you this morning, I'm not sure of the schedule, but certainly at some point in the 2 days, stop by all of our partners' booths out there, but make sure you put on the virtual reality goggles and just go and have a look at our flagship industrial print product, the KM1. When we launched that in Australia at Pack Print in May, it takes 2 weeks to set it up. It's a giant digital press. It takes 2 weeks to set up, and we simply don't have 2 weeks to set it up. So it'll be there, and there'll be samples, but to give people a little bit more of a taste, given that we can't turn it on, we've developed a virtual reality tour of that particular product. Pop the goggles on out there. You'll be absolutely amazed. It's a wonderful experience. KM Marketing Services was the company's move into providing marketing services. There were 2 acquisitions. There was Charterhouse in Europe and Ergo in Australia. And that's a sister company of ours. They have their own managing director. They reside in our building in North Ryde and our offices in Melbourne. And they have people embedded in companies. They work inside the marketing department. You know, half a dozen people go up to Unilever at Epping on the north side of Sydney every day, and they work in that building providing marketing services. And on April 1, they had a name change to Konica Minolta Marketing Services. They're the one company globally now. Charterhouse and Ergo have merged. So it's just a great story to tell. 3D as well. David Proctor a few years ago thought, you know, the world's going nuts with 3D. It's got to be a huge growth area. Our parents' R&D dollars are going into other things. So let's go and find a partner and we'll resell their products. And we'll kind of create a 3D footprint for Konica Minolta in Australia by partnering. We don't always have to invent everything and make everything ourselves. And it's proven to be a very good strategy. And thank you for those early adopters inside Konica Minolta that have opted to move into that part of our business. I really appreciate you doing that and getting the degree of momentum that you have in the 3D part of our business. It's going to be huge, I think. And also the last point there is the business innovation centres. So again, Shoei invested in, I think it's 6 now, digital innovation centres around the world. He funded them and he said, go forth and look for new technologies and invest in things and take equity positions and provide loans and buy if it makes sense to buy. And just give us a look at new technologies that are different to what we're doing today. And so we're associated with the Business Innovation Centre in Singapore, and we share a resource in Marty Keatles, who works both for BIC Singapore and ourselves, and we're doing just that. So we'll be bringing robotics products to market, and initially that'll be in the hospitality industry. So before too long, when you check into a hotel like the Novotel, and you get into your room, 7 o'clock or whatever from the airport, and you order a club sandwich, you don't have to worry about tipping the person who brings it to your room anymore because it'll be a robot. And it'll be very efficient. You might even be a robot meeting you in the foyer. There'll probably be a robot bringing linen up to your floor to help the maids make the bed so they don't have to do any heavy lifting because back injuries are a problem in the hospitality industry. There'll be all sorts of tasks that can very easily be performed by robotics to free people up to go and do more creative and interesting things. So we're investing in that. And avatars as well. We've talked about that before. These are assisted agents that help people. Typically people at home. It might be an aged care application, or it might be a rehabilitation application. You're getting over a workplace injury or a sporting injury or whatever. And that avatar knows everything about you and takes you through a customised program for your particular ailment or situation or whatever. So we've invested in that. So we're doing some really interesting, cool things that'll produce some great results in the future and just allow us to have a much broader conversation with our clients. I certainly talk about these things all the time. Now, a while ago, we developed what we called a strategy map. I think it was about 4 years ago. And it was a simple graphic representation of whereby we could show everybody at Konica Minolta what our roadmap was in certain key sectors of the organisation. And we've revamped that now because we thought if you keep looking at the same graphic and all we do is change a few numbers every year, you'll probably glaze over. So we've given it a bit of a newer contemporary look and feel to it, and this is what it looks like today. And in the second half of the presentation, I'd just like to take you through some of these segments. Literally day one, if you like, the first minute of being the managing director when it was announced at a kickoff and I walked up on stage completely unprepared for what I was going to say, I turned around and I said to everybody, I want us to build a company together that cares. A company that cares about the people who work here and work with us, a company that cares about our customers, and a company that cares about the community in which we operate. And so we've stayed true to that vision. And I think this would be the appropriate time. Visit all of the tables out there and booths out there, but make sure you don't miss the CSR stand that we have. There's a wonderful new brochure that's just been produced. It was only printed yesterday. And please grab a copy of that. Customer experience Net Promoter Score. You've all had the experience of being asked to stay on the line after you've made a phone call to Telstra or whatever and give us a rating between 1 and 10. So the Net Promoter Score is where you take the detractors, which is anybody that gives you a rating from 0 to 6, and you take them away from the number of people that give you a rating of 9 or 10. It's a real hard, tough system. Just think about the mathematics of that. And if somebody gives you a 7 or 8, they don't count because they're sitting on the fence. So they get thrown out, and you take this large number from this small number, and the range that you can end up with in a Net Promoter Score is anything from minus 100 to plus 100. And a lot of big companies in Australia are throwing huge resources behind getting to 0, getting to a positive number in terms of customer satisfaction. We've set ourselves the goal of getting to 30, which will be fantastic if we can do that. Another segment on the chart is emerging technologies, 26 million. This is the new stuff. So under the broad banner of solutions, we're talking, the breakdown there is about 13 million for solutions, about 7 for 3D, and about 6 for industrial print, year 1. And also a very important area is operational excellence. We have to continually improve our processes in the organisation. And I actually feel to some extent that I owe you an apology. We haven't got you the systems that you need quickly enough. And I know it creates frustrations. We're onto it, we're focused on it. There are reasons why things take longer than you hope they will when you set out on these journeys. But we're very committed in terms of both fantastic people, the dollars, the commitment to make these things happen and just make the whole back office work more smoothly. It's very, very important. Growth. Revenue, these are the budgets for this year. Revenue, 251, operating profit, 8.5. So it's interesting there that that's a bigger number, in case you missed it. It's a bigger number than last year's number. So I've just told you that our parent has got all of this data from really intelligent people at IDC and Gartner that say the market's going to decline, but the budget goes up. So what's going on there? Now, to be honest with you, if our parent had said to me on one of my Tokyo visits, we're going to give you a lower budget year on year because we've got all this data from these smart people that say the industry's declining and so on, here's your lower budget, I would not have accepted it. Now, we don't ever have to put that statement to the test because they gave me a bigger one. But here's the point. My point is that I absolutely know in Australia we're going to keep growing. Because this is the deal. I don't care what happens globally, and I don't care what the data says about the local market in Australia. They're probably right. We know that the market by unit size went down by 5% year on year. It's probably going to go down by another 5% next year. I don't actually care about that because I'm not caught up in this whole issue of victim mentality of, people aren't printing as much or whatever. I don't care because our market share is something like 16%. There's 84% of the market that we don't have. And we're in an environment right now where for either good planning or good management or good grace or good luck, we seem to be doing a lot of things right. The market seems to be responding to us. People are responding and wanting to come to work for us. And welcome everybody, I should have said in my opening sentence, welcome everybody who's at Konica Minolta for the first time, experiencing their first kickoff. But we are doing some things right, and for whatever reason, as an industry, there are some players that have lost their way a little bit. They're just going through some challenging times. So I think that we can I don't care if the pie gets smaller, we'll just take a bigger slice of the pie. We'll just grow that market share and grow that market share relative to others. So we're absolutely in growth mode. And a very important aspect of that, I've got 3 minutes left, are our employees. And we're absolutely committed to developing the people that are inside the organisation. And there's a couple of very exciting programs that have been developed. One of them is called Unite. And we had an in-depth internal discussion about, do we go out and buy training and get an expensive training company in? Do we get consultants in to run workshops and all that jazz? Or do we do it ourselves? And we decided to go the homegrown route around developing our people. It lives within the People and Culture Department, so thank you, Cindy, for your commitment to this. And one of the key contributors has been Liz Fritzlaff. And now we also have Daniel Labert working with our sales management group on development. And one of the great programs is called the Emerging Leader Program too, where we invited people to apply to go on some development courses. And we we were inundated with applications, and we picked about 30 as kind of a round number, which was about half the people in the first intake that we could take. So we're going on the journey with them. But learning, of course, is about an individual being prepared to go on that learning journey. And it's about attitude and wanting to grow. There's the completed map. It sits on the basis of the company's global philosophy, global vision, and our values: customer centricity, being open and honest, being accountable, being innovative, being passionate, being inclusive, and being collaborative. I just want to leave you with this thought that, for me, this concept of improvement and growth and taking advantage of the market situation as it is today, it really comes down to an individual as much as it does to the company as a whole. And I guess the challenge I'd like to throw out to you today is there's a Japanese concept called Kaizen, which often translates as continuous improvement. But it's more than that. It's actually incremental continuous improvement. It's about 1% gains. And I don't know if I can remember the Western business equivalent, but it's escaped me, sorry. It's about aggregating all the little aspects of growth that you can muster every day. So the challenge I'd like to put to you is that when you leave the conference, just look for your own 1%. Just look for those little areas of growth, the little things that you can do every day a little bit better, or the good things a little bit more of, or find that little bit of extra discipline that might be required. And it might be a quantitative thing around time, or it might be a qualitative thing around studying a prospective client before and getting to know them before you go in, whatever it might be. And one of the things I like about the theme of this conference is it's find your Everest. It's not a formula, it's every individual looking at themselves and saying, I want to grow as a human being, I want to grow as a business person, I'm going to find my personal Everest, I'm going to look for my personal 1%, I'm going to find the little things every day that I can do better. And let me tell you, if we all make that commitment, when we aggregate all of that attitude of wanting to grow and prosper collectively, then I absolutely believe that within 5 years, we can take Konica Minolta to be the #1 company in Australia. And I truly believe that. Thank you very much.